everybody, Craig Schranz here at Functional Medicine Explained, and we're going to do another video. I'm working the night shift. It's slow, I have a little bit of time, so I want to knock this out. And we're going to talk about today the differences between black tea and green tea. And this was prompted by my last video about flavonoid content in lemons and the fact that black tea is actually one of the largest sources in America of consumed flavonoids. So a viewer asked me a question about the difference between black tea and green tea, so I figured let's go ahead and look into that topic. So let's get this party started. So both green and black tea actually come from the same plant, from the leaves of the Camellia sinensis plant, which is an evergreen shrub that's native to East Asia, but it's now grown and cultivated across the world. Now there's four major differences between black tea and green tea: caffeine, color, polyphenol content, and taste. So let's go through each of these. Let's start with caffeine. So a cup of green tea contains less caffeine than a cup of black tea does. And that's because it's a shorter processing time, so there's less caffeine actually that's in the tea leaf. So for green tea, a cup of green tea will have about 30 milligrams of caffeine, while a cup of black tea will have about 50 milligrams. That's both less than you'd find in a cup of coffee, which has somewhere between 80 and 100 milligrams of caffeine in a cup. Now, the longer the tea bag brews, the higher the caffeine content will be of your tea, so just something to keep in mind. Going on to the next difference, color. So once tea manufacturers harvest green tea leaves, they gently heat them, and usually with steam. And what this does, it prevents high levels of oxidation and keeps them green. So it keeps the color of the leaves green. In black tea production, the leaves are rolled and undergo a longer oxidation process with more exposure to air, and this gives black tea leaves their dark brown or black color. So that's how you get the difference between black and green leaves. Same leaf initially. Third difference, the polyphenol content. So since all teas derive from plants, they contain polyphenols. And polyphenols are organic compounds such as flavonoids, which we talked about in my lemon video, other things such as tannins, which can have a bitter taste, and theaflavins, or a type of flavonoid. But black teas and green teas contain different types and amounts of polyphenols. For example, green tea contains a high amount of catechins. Hope I'm saying that right. Well, black tea contains more theaflavins, and this will contribute to a reddish color. We'll go more into polyphenols in a bit, but let's talk about the last difference between the teas, which is taste. A shorter steaming process, in other words, a shorter oxidation process, preserves and even enhances green tea's natural flavor profile, and it prevents the bitterness that you often see in black tea. In contrast, a black tea undergoes a longer oxidation process, and it's going to lead to a stronger, earthier taste than green tea. So I want to go into what polyphenols are a little bit more. So again, like I mentioned before, it's a category of compounds that are naturally found in plant foods, such as fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, tea, dark chocolate, and wine. And they can act as antioxidants. And what that means is they can neutralize harmful free radicals that would otherwise damage your cells and could increase the risk of conditions like cancer and heart disease. So polyphenols are thought to reduce inflammation, which is often considered the root cause of many chronic illnesses. Now, there's been over 8,000 types of polyphenols that have been identified, and they can be broken up into four categories. So one, flavonoids, and these are about 60% of all polyphenols, and you can find these commonly in onions, dark chocolate, cabbage, lemon, and tea. Phenolic acids, these are about 30% of all polyphenols, and some examples are chlorogenic acid, which you often see in coffee and cereal grains. You have polyphenolic amides, and these include capsaicinoids, which are in chili peppers, and you can also find them in oats. And then there's other types of polyphenols, and these include still beans, which can be in grapes and berries, resveratrol in red wine, ellagic acid in berries, curcumin in turmeric, and lignan in flaxseed, sesame seed, and whole grains. So there's a variety of different polyphenols, They all have different properties. Now, in black tea, the most common polyphenol is theaflavin, and that possesses antioxidant potency, and it probably possesses the same amount of potency as the flavonoids in green tea, which is primarily catechins. Now, the conversion of catechins to theaflavin during fermentation and making black tea does not significantly alter their free radical scavenging activity. So it would seem to me, based on my research, that the benefit of black tea versus green tea shouldn't be all that different. Yes, they have two different types of antioxidants, theaflavin in black tea and catechin in green tea, but they both have similar free radical capability as antioxidants. However, here's the difference. Green teas are found to have larger amounts of bioactive compounds compared to black teas. So you're going to actually get more flavonoid and more phenolic compounds out of the green tea per cup drank over the black tea. So you could make the argument in that case, if you're going to choose a tea, that you're going to get a more density of these compounds within green tea. But after I did a literature review on this, my personal opinion is I think the benefit of green tea over black tea seems to be overplayed a bit. I'm actually going to look in one of my next videos about matcha, which matcha is ground up green leaves, essentially green tea leaves, and that's one of the superfoods that are very popular. But again, there's this concept that the green tea is much healthier than black tea. It does seem like it's a little bit more dense in the flavonoid content versus black tea, but I think both green tea and black tea seem to be good for you, particularly if you're going to add natural sweeteners such as lemon slices in the tea. You'll also get the flavonoid content from the tea. I think if you're consuming tea and you're adding a significant amount of sugar, you're defeating the purpose of the benefit of the tea, because now you're consuming sugar, which is problematic. And also, the more sugar you consume, the more your taste buds acclimate to wanting more sugar. So if you can try to avoid a significant amount of sweetener in your tea, that would be a good thing. And I would say between black tea and green tea, pick the tea that tastes better for you, tastes better to you. So if you can handle the bitterness of black tea and you think it's appealing for you, go with black tea. If you like the milder taste of green tea, go with green tea. Green tea might have a slight benefit, but I think you'll still get benefit from drinking either tea. So I just spilled the tea. I hope you guys appreciate the video. Please leave comments, like the video, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next video sometime soon.